Let's move on to Black Lives Matter. The stated goals of Black Lives Matter can be found in their website, blacklivesmatter.org. And I quote from their website: "We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so that they can mother in private, even as they participate in public justice work. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. We foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking." That's a big word. Heteronormative thinking. Co-founders of Black Lives Matter include Gaza Opal and Patrice. The Black Lives Movement has gained steam following the death of George Floyd in May last year in Minneapolis. Protests and riots have taken place across the country and worldwide. Many leaders clearly exploited the tragic death of Mr. Floyd for political advantage, such as the disgraceful Reverend Sharpton of New York. Disgraceful. Exploitation. LifeSite News said Black civil rights leaders state the Black community would be armed by the goals of Black Lives Matter organization. A man by the name of Innis, I-N-N-I-S, who is the national chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality, told EWTN host that he distinguishes the Black Lives Matter organization leadership from most of the protesters. The majority of the protesters, he said, have their heart and soul in the right place. Alicia Garza says she is a Marxist, Mr. Innis reported, referring to one of the founders of Black Lives Matter. Innis noted that defunding the police is just the beginning of what the BLM organization wants. Innis said, "These ideas do nothing to help Black people in America. These agenda items show a Marxist mentality, does nothing for the Black community," he stated. Quote, "It does nothing to advance racial equality. Causing the disruption of the nuclear family is clear and present danger to the Black community. Fatherlessness represents a crisis for all races." The civil rights leaders said that disrupting the family is going to hold Black people back. To date, there are about 20 million Black abortions. Regarding Black Lives Matter most famous goal, or infamous goal, depending on how you look at it, which is defending police, Innis said that the Black community does not actually want less police. They want less bad police. And there are bad apples in every profession. The Black community wants more police, and more police engagement, more police intervention, and more partnership with police. Now, the Census Bureau recently indicated that roughly 13.4% of the total population of America of 330 million people, 13.4% in 2019 are classified as Black, while 18.5% are classified Hispanics or Latino. That's excluding the 12 million undocumented residents. Hispanics, brown-skinned people from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Cuba, etc., have surpassed Blacks and are growing by nearly 30% per year. Why is that? Because of abortions. Abortions in the Black community are far greater. So for economic and other reasons, they have far more abortions than Hispanics. Specifically, Black people are over 13% of the U.S. population, but account for 38% of all reported abortions. That's terrible. So Black abortion rate, abortions per 1,000 women ages 15 to 44, is 3.8 times higher than non-minority mothers. That's incredible statistics. So Black Lives Matter has substituted Marxist communist past class conflicts between Blacks and now replaced it with class conflicts with Blackness and whiteness conflict. Black versus white creates a permanent enemy class, which is always incomplete. BLM movement's slogan is effectively becoming the definition of anti-racism, which means that all those who disagree with their ideology are racist by definition. The president of New York City's Black Lives Matter said that if the movement fails to achieve meaningful change during its protests over Floyd's killing, if this happens, if this country doesn't give us what we want, then we will burn down the system and replace it. All right? I'm quoting him. If this country doesn't give us what we want, we will burn down the system and replace it. All right? I could be speaking figuratively. I could be speaking literally. It's a matter of interpretation. This is an exact quote from Hawk Newsom during an interview with Fox News. Story with Martha McCallum. Have not Asians, Irish, Hispanics, Jews, and Muslims, among other groups, experienced a form of racism, discrimination, and economic hardship? Why are they not shouting, Brown Lives Matter, Jewish Lives Matter? Because the truth is, all lives matter. Black Lives Matter receives millions of dollars from corporate and political sponsors. The movement's funding gives a hint of how far its political agenda stretches beyond criticizing the use of force by police. They are a money-making machine. Readers may form their own conclusions about BLM ultimate goals. Nevertheless, this writer is concerned that numerous Catholic bishops and other Christian religions seem frightened of the BLM movement and are fearful to say anything about violence and destruction of statues of saints and church property. They have to find a spine. They have to listen to Proverbs 4:13. Quote, I guide you in the way of wisdom and lead you along straight paths. Hold on to my instruction. Do not let it go. Guard it well, for it is your life. In the words of wisdom from St. John Paul II, freedom consists not in doing what we like, but having the right to do what we ought to do. Science can purify religion from error, and superstition. Religion can purify science from ideology and false absolutes. And finally, social justice cannot be attained by violence. Violence kills what it intends to obtain. So everyone is a slave to something. It might be worthwhile for readers to consider other significant and extremely bad forms of slavery. We're slaves to our jobs, which many of us really don't enjoy. We are slaves to our families, which hopefully most of us accept and enjoy. We're slaves to bad habits, which can only be replaced by good habits, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or whatever the habit is. How many people get up every day and travel in heavy traffic for hours to a job that they do not enjoy, where they are paid less than what they think they are worth? Most of the population probably agrees with this grievance. How many people are willing slaves to their spouse and children when they demand everything 24/7? One defines this as selfless love. And most of us fit this mold. How many of us are slaves to alcohol, drugs, and sex, and are destroying the youth? Finally, we are all slaves to sin and seek the mercy and love of Christ, which is the only act that can truly remove our shackles.